Hello and welcome back to All the Gear Some Idea, and today we've got a Mark 1 Renault Trafic St Michael camper conversion from something plastics on the Isle of Wight. We today are going to be changing the headlights, both of them, because the chrome section behind it has decided to get a bit of corrosion in there and it's now a bit of rust basically. So what we're doing a bit is we'll show you what the headlights look like as they are, even though it's daylight, as they're not very bright because there's nothing reflecting out. So what we need to do is open the bonnet, remove the grille, remove the indicators and the side trims, and hopefully the headlights will come out easily. There's a few little quirky things, some springs you've got to do to get the lights out, but we will go through that in a bit. Okay, so the headlight is on, and as you can see it's very dark in there, where it's sort of rusty at the back. The front part's okay, that's chrome, but the back part is rusty. Same on both sides. It should be a lot brighter than that. And I'm informed that while driving, it's like having candles. So that's the reason for changing them. And I think it's a very common problem. And there is somebody on the Isle of Wight that does repair them. But we have managed to get some brand new headlights for it. So that's what we're going to be fitting today. Okay, so we're going to be removing the fake indicator covers. There's two Allen keys, they're really tiny, and that will then pop out. Behind there you've got a T30 in there, you've also got a T30 here, and another one under that one, and then you've also got a screw, big flathead or big star drive screw there, which we've had problems with taking out. So what we're going to do is now undo the rest of the T30s. So you have got little washers that sit behind it. Now that sits between the plastic, so the plastic bit sits in here, and then that sits behind it between the metal. And then on the side ones for the indicator, you've got these square blocks that sit on the outside ones, and that sits on the outside that secures it in the right place. So for the middle one, what we've had to do is drill a hole through the middle of it and then use an easy out to break it off, as it was corroded inside the bolt hole. So for the indicators on the outside that sit in the trim, you've got this little pull tab that's just here. So what you do is it's a spring, you pull that out and you let go of it that way, and now that will allow for this unit to be pulled out. But it does get caught on a few things on the hook. So that's it out there, and you see that spring, and then there's the plug that we just undo to pull the light out. So on this side, we've now got the indicator still fitted. Now you've got to put your hand under here and then feel around a little bit. So you can push it backwards and forwards, and you can feel where the spring is. I've now got my hand on the hook. I'm going to unhook it and it pulls out. While my hand's also in here, I'm going to try and undo the plug, which I can't do, but I have now released it enough that the plug is now off. And once again, there's the spring and it hooks into a bit of metal, as you would have seen on the other side. So we'll sit that down there. So now we've got some more T30s that sit down underneath. So we'll get them out as well. Once again, it's got that little plastic section on it, and then the same on this side. And now I'm hoping There we go. She's apart. Okay, so as you can see, we have the right hand side headlight done. The reason we've not shown that one on camera is because this will appear to be the harder one to do, because you can't see down the back because of a fuse box. Not much harder, it just makes it a little bit more fiddly trying to get the wiring out. So you've got two 10mm on the top. You want to make sure that these black bits don't move, which these are pretty solid in there anyway. They're for your height adjusters, or it adjusts the headlight up and down. So now they're out. What to do is give it a pull, and then the headlight will drop down. You'll be able to pull this cover off, pull out the wiring for the bulb, and the same for the side light, and there we go. Easy as that. So now what we're going to do is change the bulb over. So you just flick down on this, pull it across, bring it up, the bulb comes out. Thank you. Same on the side light, just pulls out. And that is it. That's how we remove the headlight of a Mark 1 Renault Trafic. So now what we need to do is fit the other side, and then we're going to be taking apart hopefully one of these headlights to be able to show you what happens inside. What we've done, swap the bulbs over. So you've got a little spring clip on this one, and the side light bulb pulls out. Same on the other one. A little bit different inside. Obviously they're not genuine, so they're missing it's basically like a heat sink that sits in the back of it, but it's not necessary. And now we're going to fit it. That slides back into the van, into the front half, and it is moving at the moment, so you have to make sure you tighten that up once you've done it, just because it allows for movement left and right. So what we're going to do is plug all the wiring back in and then refit it. We've also got on this cap, there's a little slight slit at the bottom, and that's for the wiring to go through, so that it will run through it and come out the bottom nicely. And then it's just a quarter turn on. And then we just make sure that this bottom half slots in like that. And then the 210s sit up here. The one thing I would recommend is making sure that where these bolts are, it leaves a dirt mark. Make sure you line them roughly back up to where they were before, so that it will fit nicely in the bumper itself. Amazing. And then, like I say, don't forget to tighten this one up here that allows the lateral movement left and right. And there we go. Okay, so one mistake I have made, but it's because these are seized in, is these plastic trim covers that we unscrewed. If you can get in there, you can actually pull this tab and it will release them. And I just pull it out that way instead of having to undo them. Okay, so one thing we had noticed is, I think I did mention, there's a screw that sits in here which we never actually undone, and I believe someone's fitted the wrong size screw to it. So when we replace the one up here, we also need to replace potentially that one down there. It's sat on the bumper just here, just so we know which where it goes. So we're going to put this back on, and then I'm going to make sure that I fit these screws, as I said, with the washers that sit behind it, unless someone's fitted it wrong and they're meant to be the other way around. Right, so I'm just going to start them, because under here there's some plastic trims that sit inside. Now that one's gone in the right place already. We noticed that this one was sitting too low. So what we need to do is get under here, push it up, and it just slots in. The plastic trim sits under here, into this gap here, and that will then allow any water that gets pushed through here to not go into the engine bay itself. It's going to push it underneath, and then anything that gets stuck in here will then drip down the outside of it. I'll try and fit the one that was in here, see if it actually works, but I don't think it's going to. That one's gone in, but I don't think it's the right one because the washer hasn't fitted in there as well, but it's all good. So before we tighten it up, what we need to do is make sure that it's all lined up around the headlights and everything as we need it to be. But I'm going to quickly go and find a new bolt for this, as we don't want to be reusing the screw but it's got a hole for it. Okay, so we're going to fit the dummy light, and we're going to use, if it focuses, that spring, and it's going to clip into the headlight. Right, done. Everything's back together. The lights are in. What we did on these screws that are up here is it had the little plastic bits that were on there originally. I found that the screws were actually pulling through the plastic, so I put some bigger washers on there to hold it more. Otherwise, it's going to become loose and potentially break the plastic. And I doubt it's very easy to find one of these bits of plastic anymore. But what we're going to do now is turn the side lights on, and they work. And then we're going to do dip beam. And already, I can see from where I am, they're brighter. And then if you do main beam, once again, you can actually see there's physical light coming out of those headlights. So they're all fitted absolutely lovely. And yeah, what we're going to do now is we're going to take one of the old headlights and we're going to strip it. And we're going to see what it looks like inside and see if there's any way of actually repairing it quickly or efficiently without having to replace the headlights. Okay, so this is the inside of the headlight. And as you can see how rusty it is, so it sits this way in the van. We've tried sanding it down, it's not quite worked, but Rich, who owns the van, is going to take it away and see if he can make it any good. I have just smashed the lens on this one, so it's no good. But if he can make this one good, we might be able to fix the other one and then buy another one that's broken, or like this, and then get another set of headlights that we can fit the original ones back in there. And then we've got two sets of headlights, because they were getting quite rare now. So that is how you fit some headlights to a Mark 1 Renault Trafic, with all the little springy bits and everything that goes on with it. We've just given the van a once over. We've just done the tyre pressures, oil level, checked the coolant. We found the coolant bottle was in a really crappy place, but there's two little springs, not springs, but rubber bits you can unhook and bring the coolant bottle towards you. So quite a nice little feature. But yeah, thank you for watching. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and if it's been a help, let us know.